Welcome back to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
So, there's this very specific kind of nightmare that nobody really talks about.
Right.
We are so culturally obsessed with the nightmare of dying. The diagnosis, the deadline, the absolute terror of the end.
Yeah, the ticking clock.
Exactly. But we rarely talk about the psychological nightmare of living when you were absolutely 100% certain you were going to die.
The survivor's trap. It's a completely fascinating psychological space to be in.
It really is, because you mentally cash out your 401k, you say your internal goodbyes, you burn all those bridges you don't think you'll ever need to cross again.
Right.
And then the doctor walks in and just says, hey, good news, you have another 30 years.
And suddenly you're standing in the middle of a scorched earth landscape that you burned down yourself.
Yeah.
Holding a gas can. And you have to figure out how to replant the crops.
That is exactly it. And that is a terrifying premise of the file we are opening today. We're doing a deep dive into Breaking Bad, Season 2, Episode 10. The title is Over.
Just over.
Just over. And frankly, I really think this might be the most psychologically violent moment in the entire series, even though, spoiler alert, nobody actually gets shot.
Well, that's a bold claim.
I know.
Considering we have episodes in this show where people are literally dissolved in acid or blown up in nursing homes.
Fair point.
But I am totally inclined to agree with you here. This episode, which originally aired on May 10th, 2009,
right,
which is right when the global economy was also realizing the party was over, by the way.
Oh man, what timing.
But it is the pivot point. It is the moment Walter White looks at the exit door, the happy ending, and he just decides to bolt it shut.
Yeah, he locks himself in. And it was written by Moira Wally Beckett, who famously wrote Ozymandias later on in the series.
Yes.
You can totally see her fingerprints all over this script. She seems to just love stripping Walt of his excuses layer by layer.
She really does. And the context is key here for you listening. This episode is sandwiched right between 4 Days Out.
Which was incredible.
Right, that intense survivalist horror movie in the desert where they almost died of thirst. And then the next episode is Mandala, which introduces Gus Fring and the whole corporate side of the drug trade.
So Over is the bridge.
It's the bridge, but it is a bridge carrying a massive amount of structural weight.
Let's unpack that title, Over. On the surface, it seems celebratory, right?
Sure.
The cancer threat is over. The need to cook meth is over.
But the deeper you look into the episode, the more it feels like a threat. What exactly is over?
Right.
Is it the danger, or is it the excuse?
That is the hook right there. We are dealing with what should be the best news possible, remission. Yet this good news triggers a much darker psychological spiral for Walter White than the bad news of the diagnosis ever did.
It's the vacuum effect. When you live the death sentence, you have a singular purpose, survival and provision.
Yeah.
It is a teleological existence. Everything is driven by a very clear end goal. When that sentence is lifted, the goal just vanishes. You have to face the life you've actually built.
And for Walt, that life is becoming completely unrecognizable.
Exactly.
So our mission for this deep dive is to analyze exactly how Walter White handles the sudden loss of his noble cause. We're going to look at how that vacuum of purpose leads him to one of the most famous lines in television history.
And we're going to see how the rot isn't just in the floorboards of his house. It's absolutely everywhere.
So let's get into it. The remission and the reaction. The episode kicks off right where we want to be, the oncologist's office. The scan results are in, and the news is objectively miraculous.
It is. The tumor has shrunk by 80%.
80%.
Which, in the world of stage 3, a lung cancer, is basically winning the lottery. It is legitimate remission.
Right. And looking at the scene, the sound design is so crucial. Usually when a character gets good news in a medical drama, the music swells. The lighting softens, everyone hugs.
Yeah, it's a huge release of tension.
But here the room feels sterile. It's cold. And look at the reaction of the family. Skyler, Walter Jr., they are ecstatic.
They're thrilled.
There are tears. There's hugging. It is the moment they have been praying for.
But then the camera just lingers on Walt.
And that is where it gets really unsettling. Because Walt isn't cheering. He isn't crying tears of joy. If you watch Bryan Cranston's face when the doctor shows the scan, he creates this tiny micro expression of, annoyance.
Annoyance, yeah. It's almost like he's insulted or trapped.
Trapped is a great word for it.
There's actually a sociological concept called the sick role. It was coined by Talcott Parsons back in the 50s.
Okay.
Basically, being sick gives you social permission to opt out of normal responsibilities.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a good employee or a boring dad or a law-abiding citizen. You just have to survive.
Wow. So the cancer was his permission slip?
It was a shield. He could say, I can cook meth because I'm dying.
Yeah.
I can kill Crazy 8 because I'm dying.
Right. I'm doing it for my family.
The remission rips that shield away completely. If you aren't dying, you're just a criminal. You're just a bad person making bad choices.
That explains the bathroom scene immediately after that. He goes into the hospital bathroom, he washes his hands, and he sees his reflection in that distorted metal towel dispenser, and he just starts punching it.
He is furious.
He beats the hell out of it. A normal person would be praising God or calling their friends. Walt is punching a metal box until his knuckles bleed. It's not relief washing over him, it's the return of accountability.
And notice the visual composition of that bathroom scene you mentioned. The reflection is warped. We are seeing Walt's self-image fracturing in real time. He doesn't recognize the man who isn't dying.
Yeah.
He prepared to die a martyr. Now he has to live as a retired chemistry teacher with a really dark secret? That's just not enough for him anymore.
He comes out, and Skyler, who is just overflowing with hope, she suggests he take a week off work to process it, to celebrate. He agrees, but his demeanor is just completely off. He seems adrift.
He's a soldier coming home from a war he actually enjoyed, only to find out he has to go back to filing taxes.
That is a perfect analogy. He immediately tries to tie up loose ends, which feels way more like he's closing a business than celebrating a life. He meets Jesse to deliver the news.
Right.
And note the location. They aren't in the lab. They're out in the open, but it feels incredibly clandestine.
Walt tells Jesse the news, and then he makes this declaration. He is out. He literally says, I'm out.
Yeah.
And pay attention to the reasoning. It is purely financial. He says he no longer needs to pay for the treatment, so the criminal enterprise is finished.
It's so transactional. He doesn't say, hey man, I'm out because this is dangerous, or I'm out because I almost got us killed in the desert last week.
Right.
He says, the ledger is balanced, I don't need the cash for chemo, so the job is done.
Which completely ignores Jesse's position.
Completely. Jesse's standing there looking like a puppy that just got kicked.
He does.
For Jesse, this has become his life. It's his identity, too. They went through hell together in the previous episode, and Walt just discards it, like a temp job he doesn't need anymore.
It really highlights Walt's narcissism. He views Jesse as a tool. If the job is done, you put the tool back in the toolbox. He doesn't realize, or he just doesn't care, that the tool has feelings.
So Walt tries to return to a normal life, to a suburban dad existence. But it's like trying to put on a suit that's 3 sizes too small. It just doesn't fit him anymore. He's restless. He's highly agitated.
He has all this adrenaline, all this cortisol that used to go into survival mode and cooking meth, and now it has nowhere to go. And that energy, it has to go somewhere. Physics tells us energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred.
Which leads us perfectly into the transfer of that energy. The party from hell.
Oh, God. The tequila incident.
Let's get into it. Skyler throws a party to celebrate the remission. On the surface, it's a standard suburban gathering. Plastic cups, dip, friends and family. But the atmosphere is so thick you could cut it with a knife.
It's suffocating. The lighting is that harsh, oversaturated New Mexico sun. Everything looks too bright. It's almost nauseatingly cheerful. It completely clashes with Walt's internal state.
And it all centers on the pool. We have this triad of men sitting there, Walt, Hank, and Walter Jr.
The father, the son, and the uncle.
Yeah.
But look at the archetypes. Hank is the hero. He's the DEA agent. He's the alpha male, the guy with the wild war stories. He's holding court.
And Walt is sitting there in his boring beige outfit, just simmering. He's so jealous.
He's jealous because Hank is occupying the space of the cool dad. Hank is making Junior laugh. Hank is the protector. Walt feels totally emasculated in his own backyard.
So Walt grabs the bottle. By the way, does anyone track the brand of that tequila?
Oh, it's Zafiro Añejo. It's a fictional brand created specifically for the Breaking Bad universe. It has that signature copper agave stopper.
Which is such a cool detail because that exact same brand shows up later in Better Call Saul.
Yes, it does.
And it plays a huge role in Gus Fring's story. It's a poison pill, essentially.
Right. The prop itself signals death. It's brilliant. So Walt pours a drink for himself, one for Hank, and then he pours one for Junior,
who is 16 years old. Now, a sip for a teenager at a family party. Maybe not a huge deal in some households, but Walt doesn't stop at a sip. He pours a full glass.
And Hank, trying to be the responsible voice of reason and also maybe sensing Walt's weird vibe, says, "Whoa, ease up," and he tries to cap the bottle.
And that phrase, ease up.
That is the trigger.
Yeah?
That harmless little phrase completely emasculates Walt. In his own house, by the guy who sleeps with his sister-in-law,
Yeah.
by the guy who thinks Walt is just a fragile, boring teacher. No. The switch flips.
Walt pours an excessive amount. He's staring right at Hank while he does it. It's aggressive. It is a direct challenge.
Hank eventually takes the bottle away, trying to de-escalate the situation. He laughs it off initially, trying to keep it light, but then he gets serious. And Walt just explodes. He angrily bans the bottle back. He says, "My son, my bottle, my house."
The rhythm of that. My house.
It's territorial marking. It's primal. But the real tragedy is who gets caught in the middle. Walter Jr. tries to keep up. He tries to please his dad, to drink the tequila, to prove he's a man, to diffuse the tension.
And the result is, well, it's visceral. Junior vomits right into the pool.
It breaks the tension, sure, but it ruins the moment completely. It humiliates Junior, it alienates Skyler, and it exposes Walt.
The cringe factor is just off the charts. It's abusive. Let's call it what it is. He's using his own son as a pawn to win a staring contest with Hank.
It is abusive. But it's also the very first time Walt publicly wears the Heisenberg mask in front of his family.
Yeah.
The shambling monster that usually stays out in the RV or out in the desert is now sitting by the pool. And he's drunk on power, not just tequila.
And the aftermath. Skyler's furious. She refuses to answer Walt's apology calls. She's giving him the silent treatment, and rightfully so.
The morning after is stark. The party lights are down. The hangover, both physical and emotional, is incredibly real. Walt is left completely alone in that house. The silence is deafening.
He needs a distraction. He needs to control something since he clearly couldn't control the party. So he goes on a home improvement spree. He buys a new water heater.
And note the source of the funds for this. He uses his drug money.
Right.
It's tucked away in the air vent. He's using illicit cash to perform mundane suburban maintenance.
It's a desperate attempt to launder his life, not just his money. It's like he thinks, if I fix the house, I fix the family.
Exactly. But while he's installing this heater, he notices something.
Rot. Wood rot in the floorboard.
A fungus. A decay spreading in the dark underneath everything.
And a normal person might patch it or maybe call a contractor. But Walt, he goes completely manic. He tears the house apart. He buys a saw. He buys lumber. He creates an entire crawl space.
He's obsessively sawing and drilling. The sound design is so aggressive. The screeching of the saw, the tearing of the wood. It's grating.
The symbolism here is, well, it's not subtle, but it is very powerful.
It's potent. The physical rot perfectly mirrors the moral and familial rot. The foundation of the house is decaying, just like the foundation of his marriage and his relationship with his son.
And his obsession with fixing it, it's projection, right?
100%. He thinks if he can just cut out the bad wood, the structure will hold. But he's completely ignoring the fact that he is the rot. He is the thing destabilizing the foundation. You can't fix the house when you are the termite.
That's a great way to put it. And while he's playing handyman in the dark, Skyler's looking for an escape. Which brings us to Skyler and Ted. Now, I know Skyler gets a lot of hate from a certain segment of the fan base, but I really think we need to look at this compassionately.
Absolutely. This subplot is absolutely essential for understanding the total collapse of the White marriage. Skyler is spending more and more time at work with Ted Beneke.
Because at work, she isn't the wife of a cancer patient. She isn't the wife of a man who forces tequila on their teenage son until he pukes. She's just Skyler. She's competent. She's appreciated.
It's a sanctuary for her. And Ted represents the life she could have had. He's handsome. He's successful. But more importantly, he's normal. He's safe.
But the cracks start to show there, too. She has this emotional breakdown in front of Ted. She confesses that she isn't optimistic about the remission.
This is a huge admission. She said she knows Walt still has cancer. The tumor shrank, but the disease is still there.
Yeah.
But subtextually, she's talking about the other cancer, the secrets, the behavioral changes. She feels trapped. She expected relief, but all she feels is dread.
And Ted steps up. He shows empathy. He talks about caring for his own dying father. He validates her feelings. He doesn't judge her for not being 100% happy.
And that validation is a incredibly powerful aphrodisiac when you've been gaslit for months by your husband.
Right. And then we get the tender moment. They hold hands. It's intimate. It's not explicitly sexual yet, but it's emotionally and faithful.
It's a crossing of the Rubicon for her character. And look at the scene where she goes back the very next day. She keeps asking him to check the figures. She creates a distraction just to stay in the office.
And there's that amazing detail about the heated floors.
Yes. She takes off her shoes and just stands on the heated floor. Such a tactile moment. She is seeking warmth, literal and metaphorical warmth.
Because her house is cold. Her house is full of rotten secrets. Ted's office has heated floors.
She is grasping for a lifeline to a world where things make sense. It's not just an affair for her, it's a survival mechanism for her sanity.
Meanwhile, speaking of survival mechanisms, let's look at Jesse. This storyline with Jesse, Jane, and Apology Girl.
This storyline is so bittersweet in retrospect. We see Jesse trying to play house. He's trying to be the morning person.
He makes breakfast for Jane Margolis, and the script actually notes it is clumsy. He's scrambling eggs, he's trying his best to be domestic.
It's endearing. He wants to be the boyfriend who brings breakfast in bed. He wants to be normal, just like Walt claims to want.
And they have this quiet moment over his artwork. Jane admires his superhero drawings. She points out that they all sort of resemble him.
Which is a lovely insight into Jesse's psyche. He wants to be a hero. He wants to be the Captain Cook or Diesel who saves the day, or at least someone who matters. He's desperate for validation.
But then reality comes knocking. Literally. We are introduced to Donald Margolis, played by John Delancey.
Q from Star Trek.
Exactly.
Such great casting. He brings this immediate, stern gravitas to the scene.
He knocks on the door. He owns the property. He's Jane's landlord, but also her dad. And here is the brutal betrayal. Jane answers the door, and she pretends she doesn't know Jesse.
Ouch. She treats him like a total stranger. A tenant. Just some guy who lives out back.
And you can see Jesse just crumble. He's standing right there, and she essentially erases him.
It reinforces his deepest insecurity, the idea that he is a loser, that he's not good enough for a nice girl like Jane.
Jesse confronts her later. He's visibly hurt. He says she isn't taking the relationship seriously. And her defense is highly practical. She says she's protecting him from her overbearing father. Donald is clearly controlling and judgmental.
She thinks she's doing Jesse a favor by keeping him off the radar. But what Jesse hears is, "You aren't good enough to meet my dad."
And what does Jesse do when he feels rejected? When he feels small?
He retreats to his toxic coping mechanism. He smokes meth.
It's a tragic relapse. The emotional pain is immediate, so he seeks the immediate numbing agent.
But there is a resolution. Jane realizes she messed up. She slides a drawing under his door.
Apology Girl. A superhero that looks just like her.
It's a really sweet gesture. It saves the relationship for the moment. But if we analyze the dynamic, it's incredibly fragile. It's a relationship based entirely on secrets, on hiding, on addiction.
It mirrors the secrets in the White household perfectly. Everyone is hiding the truth from the people who are supposed to be closest to them.
Exactly. Walt hides from Skyler. Jane hides Jesse from her dad. Skyler hides her feelings from Walt. It's a web of deception that is only going to get tighter.
So we have the stage set. Walt is adrift and angry. Skyler is seeking comfort elsewhere. Jesse is feeling small and relapsing. The pressure is building. And it all culminates in the climax, the hardware store.
This is the scene. If you remember one thing from the episode over, it's this.
Wolf is at the hardware store. He's shopping for paint, repair supplies for his rock project. He's standing in the aisle looking like a regular suburban dad in his polo shirt.
And he spots a cart. A young man's shopping cart.
He looks at the items inside. Matches, specific chemicals, tubing.
Walt's chemist brain just activates. He knows exactly what this kid is doing. He's buying ingredients to cook meth.
And at first the teacher emerges. Walt walks up to him. He doesn't threaten him initially. He actually critiques him.
It's hilarious and terrifying at the same time. He tells the kid, "You bought the wrong matches."
Let's get technical for a second here. What exactly did he see that ticked him off so much?
He sees matchbooks. But specifically, the wrong kind. To extract red phosphorus, which is the catalyst for the red P method, you need the striker strips. But if you buy the wrong brand or the safety matches with the wrong chemical composition, you're just going to create a foul smell and absolutely no meth.
So this isn't just Walt being a jerk. It's Walt the chemist being deeply offended by bad science.
It's an insult to the craft. He sees the muriatic acid, the pseudo. It's a sloppy, highly dangerous cook waiting to happen.
He tries to help them initially. He says, buy the striker strips. Don't buy everything in one place.
Which is actually terrible advice for a criminal. You should never give lessons to strangers in a hardware store. But Walt can't help himself. He needs to be the teacher. He needs to be the smartest guy in the aisle.
The young cook is completely spooked. He looks at this intense older guy and he just drops everything and runs away.
Yeah.
And that should be it. Walt should go back to his paint. He's out, remember? He's retired.
But he doesn't. He stands there. He takes a breath. And then the music starts.
DLZ by TV on the radio.
We have to talk about this needle drop. It's arguably the best use of music in the entire series. Tunde Ebimpe's vocals coming in. Congratulations on the mess you made of things. It's this pulsing, low-frequency dread.
It sounds like a heartbeat that's about to flatline.
It fits the birth of Heisenberg perfectly. Walt walks out to the parking lot.
This is the pivot point, the ultimate moment of no return. He sees the young cook and his partner. They are in an RV.
It's a perfect mirror image. He is looking at a younger version of himself and Jesse. The amateur setup, the fear, the sloppy execution.
And something just snaps. He realizes he is being copied. He realizes he is being replaced.
It's not just replacement for him. It's a direct insult. He looks at them and sees mediocrity. But more importantly, he feels that vacuum we talked about at the very beginning.
Right.
The cancer is gone. The noble purpose is gone. But here, right here in this parking lot, is an identity he can actually claim.
He walks right up to the window. The guys are scared. They don't know who he is, but they sense the danger radiating off him.
Walt stares them down. He doesn't yell. He drops his voice into that specific Heisenberg register. It's gravelly, it's cold.
And he delivers the line, "Stay out of my territory."
Chills. I get chills every single time.
The amateurs drive away. They are terrified. And Walt just watches them go with this look of just total satisfaction.
Let's really deep dive on this choice. This is the aha moment of the entire season. Why does he do it?
He doesn't need the money. He has the cash in the vent. He has the remission. He has zero logical reason to be a criminal.
Exactly.
Huh.
And yet he chases down these rivals. He asserts his dominance. He actively claims territory.
Stay out of my territory, not I'm protecting my family, not I need cash for chemo. My territory.
This confirms that the cancer didn't make him a criminal. The criminality gave him an identity he refuses to give up. He loves the power. He loves being the best.
The title over refers to the good guy persona. That part of him is completely over.
Precisely. Walter White, the mild-mannered high school teacher, is effectively dead. He died in that parking lot. Heisenberg is the survivor. He chooses the drug trade right here, explicitly, out of pride and ego.
It's the exact moment he admits it to himself, even if he hasn't admitted it to Skyler or anyone else yet. He isn't doing this because he has to. He's doing it because he wants to.
And that makes him infinitely more dangerous. A man fighting for his family has limits. A man fighting for his ego, he has absolutely no limits.
Wow. Okay, let's take a breath. That scene is so heavy. Let's look at how this episode was received in the real world. Moving to production, reception, and the music choices.
It's always interesting to look back at the reviews from 2009 when this first dropped.
Donna Bowman from the AV Club gave it an A-. She praised that contrast we talked about earlier, the high intensity versus the quiet character moments.
Bowman was always great at spotting the nuanced character work. She saw that the quiet scenes, like the rot repair, were just as loud psychologically as the cartel explosions.
However, looking at the retrospective rankings for the whole show, The Ringer ranked it 45th out of 62 episodes. Vulture put it at 57th. That's pretty low.
It is low, and I think that really comes down to the nature of a bridge episode. When people rank episodes of Breaking Bad, the ones with the massive plot twists like Ozymandias or the iconic deaths like Face Off, they float to the top. Over is a very slow burn. It's setting the table.
It's doing the heavy lifting for character development, but maybe it lacks the kinetic energy of a Tuco episode or a season finale.
Exactly. But without Over, you don't get the rest of the season. You absolutely need this psychological pivot to make the rest of Walt's journey believable. If he just kept cooking after remission without this specific moment of choice, it wouldn't make sense.
True. We already touched on DLZ, but the show also featured Dance Hall Days by Wang Chung and Zunga 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 Zing by Yellowman.
The music supervision by Thomas Kalubik is legendary on this show. Mixing up upbeat 80s pop with reggae and then hitting you with that dark indie rock. It creates a sonic landscape that feels completely disoriented, just like Walt.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Let's wrap this up with our summary and key takeaways.
If we summarize what we've really learned today, the remission was not a relief. It was a catalyst for a massive crisis. It stripped away Walt's primary excuse and left him naked with his own ambition.
The rot is now fully exposed. It's in the house, it's in the marriage, it's in the relationships, and Walt is the termite.
And Walt has officially transitioned. He's moved from cooking for money to cooking for power. Stay out of my territory is his new mission statement.
Here is a provocative thought to leave you with, and this is something we were discussing before we started recording today.
Right. Think about that parking lot scene again.
Walt walks up to those two guys. He has no weapon. He has no backup. He's literally just a middle-aged guy in a beige polo shirt.
He's completely bluffing. Or is he?
If those amateurs hadn't run away, if they had stood their ground against him, what would have happened?
That's the scary question. Would Walt have backed down? Or was he ready to commit actual physical violence right there in the broad daylight of a hardware store parking lot?
Imagine if they had just laughed at him. Like, go home, Grandpa. What are you going to do?
I think he might have snapped. I really do. I think the rage we saw with the tequila bottle, the violent rage at the paper towel dispenser, it was all hyper-focused in that stare. If they hadn't run, I honestly think Walt would have tried to kill them with his bare hands.
It's terrifying to think about. He was looking for a fight. He actively wanted to prove he was the alpha in that space.
And he won, which only feeds the monster moving forward. He learned that his reputation, his Heisenberg aura, is a weapon in itself.
Man. A huge thank you to everyone for joining us on this deep dive into Over.
It's been an absolute pleasure to dissect the rot with you.
Do us a favor. Next time you have a minute, go rewatch that final scene. Listen to DLZ playing in the background. Watch Walt's eyes. And tell me you don't see the exact moment Walter White disappears and Heisenberg fully takes the wheel.
You really can't unsee it once you know what to look for.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Stay curious.
See.